Vera and I will be discussing the gut microbiota in honeybees. Important creatures that gift our world a wide range of benefits, from honey, beeswax, pollination of food crops, and ecological services. Did you know that 1/3 of the food that we eat derives from honeybee pollination? Without it, we wouldn't have food like avocados, kiwis, blueberries, cucumbers, and many others. Our honeybees produce $15 billion worth of U.S. crops each year, and pollinate about 1/6 of the flowering plant species worldwide. Yet sadly, our bees have been dying. Not only has their population been decreasing over the last decade, but just last year, 1/3 of the nation's honeybee colonies died. The phenomenon colony collapse disorder has been occurring at an alarming rate. This is where worker bees disappear, leaving the rest of the colony unsustainable. Through learning of the gut microbiota in bees, researchers gain a better understanding of bee biology and their health. In studying the gut microbiota, scientists hope to determine the factors contributing to the decline of bee colonies. If we can find out about the stressors modulated by the gut microbiota, we may be able to explain what it is that's killing our bees and what we can do to prevent it. Honeybees hold a consistent set of bacterial species, and some of these bacteria are present in other species of the honeybee, and even in bumblebees. The microbiota in honeybees is similar to mammals but much simpler. The gut of a honeybee holds 9 bacterial species clusters that are transmitted through social interactions between individual bees. There has been evidence that the gut microbiota in workers contribute in the digestion of food and protection against parasites. Like I said before, these 9 bacterial species clusters are also present in about 95 to 99% of all honeybee species. There are 2 gram-negative species, Snodgrassella and Gilliamella apicola, which are members of the phylum Proteobacteria. There are also 2 gram-positive species clusters, the Lactobacillus firm 4 and Lactobacillus firm 5 groups. Then there is Bifidobacterium asteroides. These are the 5 core bacteria that make up the honeybee gut microbiota. There are 4 rare bacteria species, the Proteobacteria species, Forstella parara, Bartonella apis, and Parasaccharobacter apium, and a Gluconobacter-related species group designated alpha 2. Of course, other bacteria may make their way through, but these 9 stay prevalent. These cannot be found outside the gut due to their inability to multiply under atmospheric oxygen concentrations. These bacteria are simply spread from bee to bee. Due to a specific diet and physiology, the queen's guts usually contain Acetobacteriocaceae. These bacteria neutralize any dietary toxins and aid the biosynthesis of nutrients. It also helps the digestion of food and the fermentation of any carbohydrates or sugars that the bee cannot digest by itself. For example, the strain G. apicola holds a gene that breaks up pectin. This composes the wall of pollen grains. The gut microbiota utilize glucose and fructose, which are essential sugars in the honeybee's diet. There are also strains that can utilize other sugars that are toxic to bees, like mannose or raffinose. This means that the gut can adapt in order to accommodate any changing dietary conditions. Another bacteria function in the gut is that of the S. alvi, which aids in anaerobic respiration of carboxylates in order to produce energy. Basically, the gut microbiota play a significant part in the bee's health. Like humans, the gut microbiota serve great importance in keeping the host healthy. So obviously, the destruction of the gut microbiota causes serious harm to bodily functions, and this makes the host vulnerable to pathogens. It has been found that the use of antibiotics seriously eliminates the diversity of gut microbiota, therefore heavily impacting its immune system. One study found that antibiotic treatment in honeybees makes them more prone to nosema infection, heavily impacting their survival. Honeybees can become antibiotic resistant, therefore impacting their disease resistance. So did you know that with a prescription from a veterinarian, beekeepers can administer antibiotics to the hive? In order to protect the hive from viruses or diseases, like bee brood diseases, a spore-forming bacterium from Penibacillus larvae. Beekeepers apply antibiotics to the hive several times throughout the year. This serves to protect the hive, but actually causes more harm than good. Like humans, the over or misuse of antibiotics causes antibiotic resistance. There are dozens of studies and reports of several antibiotic residues in bee products like honey. Now our bees are becoming resistant to these antibiotics, in which they can't properly protect themselves from pathogens. Now you must be wondering, are we ingesting these antibiotics? Well, yes, you are. To those who may not care about our bees, at least care about yourself. You are consuming these bee products pumped with antibiotics, killing your diverse and healthy gut microbiota. Like we've learned in SITSI, this is dangerous. Researchers are discovering that, like mammals, microbiomes are essential in maintaining the health of the host. Through research on the gut microbiota in bees, we are learning that they are no different than us. The practice of using antibiotics on honeybee colonies in order to protect them from disease and viruses are actually interfering with their health. There are typically the high concentrations of tetracycline resistance in honeybees, therefore their products, and then we consume them. Spore-forming microorganisms can survive in honey at low temperatures, like Bacillus cereus, Clostridium perfringens, and Clostridium botulinum. Honey contamination with spores of Clostridium have been documented in many countries, so a natural sweetener is not so natural after all. So before you go for that jar of honey in your tea, remember the antibiotics being fed to our precious honeybees all across the globe. We're destroying their gut microbiota, leaving them vulnerable to disease and viruses that we're trying to protect them from. Now do you still want to grab that jar of honey? Take care of your microbes too.